You've reached the Holiday helpline. We turn the holidays into holidays.
Hi, there's only 1,256 hours until Christmas, and we haven't even started our wish list yet.
Get to Old Navy.
Old Navy?
Yep, Old Navy has everyone's favorite winter gear like $5 tees, $10 thermals, $15 sweaters, and $20 outerwear.
Time out. $5 tees?
Yes, plus thousands of other styles start at $5 too. Amazing cold weather deals are already here at Old Navy and OldNavy.com.
We're going to Old Navy.
Turn your holiday into a holiday. Get to Old Navy today. Valid 10/30 to 11/7. Select styles in stores only.
Live and heard around the world. You are now listening to the most entertaining hour of radio on the planet. It's the High Stakes Fantasy Football Hour presented by MyFFPC.com with your hosts Eric Balkman and Dave Gerzak. The High Stakes Fantasy Football Hour is your home for football analysis from the best fantasy players in the world. And now, because no one else was available, here are Eric Balkman and Dave Gerzak. Nobody. What?
Great radio.
I'm going to interrupt the song right now and make sure that everybody can hear us now. Now okay.
There it is.
Yeah,
all
I know,
right.
but hold on. That might just that. Okay,
reverb,
so
all
we're
right.
good. We're good. I don't know what happened.
So do I have to go and tell everyone about your emergency room non-visit again?
Now we don't have to get into it, ladies and gentlemen.
Eric's dying.
No, he's not.
He might be dying.
Eric Balkman, Dave Gerzak, High Stakes Fantasy Football Hour.
There was a 90-minute wait at the clinic.
Yeah.
Not the herpes clinic. It was like an Instacare clinic, right?
Yeah.
And you decided not to go to do the show.
To do the show.
Because
I'm
your
putting the
brain-
show ahead of my own life.
Brain freezes.
I'm probably fine. But
Great.
not to make light of people who are having sicknesses and illnesses.
They're not
and what have
listening
you.
anyway. Well, you know what? Wasp Guy's listening, but he didn't die, so that's good.
Yeah,
Hey, good health to
how
you,
about
Wasp Guy.
Hudson Kern-Reeve making a fantastic return to the world of high stakes fantasy football after having a somewhat, we could be honest, somewhat serious surgery.
Yes, it was obviously a serious surgery.
Coming out of it, flying colors, great job. Glad to have you back. Glad to have you listening.
You know, honestly, he didn't do anything. It was the surgeon. He just sat there and got operated on.
Don't underestimate the power of Kern.
Well, actually, the power of positive thinking, thanks to my mom.
Yeah.
I am perfect health. That was the thing I told him on Facebook.
That's exactly right.
Himself, even though it's not correct sentence, probably.
Probably not. You're going to hear a lot of not correct stuff on this show, much like the incorrect beginning to this show. So, ladies and gentlemen, I want to welcome everybody. I'm not going to go through the whole Twitter thing again and everything that's going on with the show.
You never have to do that anyway, by the way.
Yeah. Well, let's move on, and I just want to bring up a couple things here. Rotoviz.com/podcast. You can listen to the new High Stakes Lowdown with Shelley Fossum and David Hubbard. David Hubbard, interesting take on the Jay Ajayi trades and Kelvin Benjamin trades, and good stuff from Shelley Fossum. I didn't even realize this.
She's an accountant, right?
Yeah, she is an accountant. She won the Terminator before. Yep. She already has a top 15 main event overall finish, and she's got a top 40 team again this year. So great stuff
Very funny
from her.
I bet, was she funny?
She was a little cheeky.
Yeah,
she got a little cheeky.
Yeah,
so it was good.
She can hold it with all the dudes.
Well, here's the thing.
The sexual harassment things with her might be from her instead of towards her.
I stayed away from it. You know, she's good friends with
with all the perverts.
No, who am I thinking of? Zeb Cap.
Yes, the perverts. His whole crew of deviants.
Zeb Cap and his crew of pervs. So check that out, rotoviz.com/podcast. The 2018 FFPC main event is open. myffpc.com/main event. You can register, pick out your times. Dave, it's insane. How many times do we have next year? 35, 36? that you can?
There's a lot of draft times next year.
A lot of draft times.
What we did is we fully expanded the Labor Day weekend schedule for online drafts. So it's almost like the draft-a-thon is taking place for both the Football Guys contest and the main event, actually.
Yeah, great news for me and Bryce.
So if you got like 30, 40 grand to blow on main event teams, you can do it.
Every day.
You can.
Exactly. All right, we've kept our guest waiting long enough. I want to bring him in right now. He's an FFPC player, started playing a few years ago based on the recommendation of a friend, and he says he loves the challenge of trying to beat more than 1,000 other teams for the $250,000 grand prize, thanks to a monster first half of the NFL season. He currently sits in second place of the FFPC main event, and he joins us to talk about it tonight. Please welcome into the show Matt Berman. Matt, thanks for coming on the show tonight, man. Really appreciate having you.
No problem. How you guys doing?
Doing excellent.
Great.
Doing very well now that everybody can hear us. And hopefully I'm going to pull through this show
I don't know if I called the wrong number.
We didn't know either, to be honest with you.
Matt, we're going to get into fantasy football. Tell the listeners what you do for a living before we get to it.
I'm in the auto parts business, so that takes up a good chunk of my time and keeps me pretty busy. Live in the Philly area here.
So what Matt does is he goes and steals cars and rips the parts off of them.
I don't even know why you would say that.
He run a chop shop. Hey, man, it's okay to say if they run a chop shop. Anyway, sorry. So his favorite movie is Gone in 60 Seconds. I'll hear you back.
I'm sorry, yes.
Man, I have a question for you.
Hold on, man.
The reason that Matt didn't say anything actually means I might be correct. So maybe we should move on.
You might get that on. I'm not. No answer is an answer.
Yeah,
exactly. You know how you said, and nobody heard this part of the show when you're like, Bulky, I got a good feeling about the show tonight. We're gonna have a good show.
This is
you
part
could
of
not have been more wrong.
This
so
is
far.
part of the good part.
Here's where Matt Berman says it.
All right, Matt. Congrats on the early success so far in the main event. At the 403
I think
pick,
you guys might have jinxed me. I had a rough game last night. So.
Did you? Who did you start? Bad defense.
I had McCoy and Hauschka.
Oh yeah, that sucks. Honestly, I had both of them going into Kentucky League together on the same.
What did
league.
McCoy score? I didn't even check.
Like, wasn't it 2.5, Matt? Is that what he got?
It's exactly what he had.
Oh my. Anyway, so let's talk about your draft instead. At the 403 pick, you went with the tight end. You took Zach Ertz over Greg Olsen, which actually, based on ADP, Olsen should have gone way earlier. Yet you passed on him quite wisely. Can you tell us about that a little bit?
Well, I mean, I wish I could say I made all the right picks in the past, but I've done FFPC a couple of years, had a couple lousy teams, and one of the things that I said this year is kind of wanted to just roll with, not worry about the rankings and roll with guys that I thought were either, had some bigger upside or just guys I knew I wanted to have on my team and couldn't wait another round to get. And, being from Philly and watching Ertz and his progression, I just thought a big year was in store, and I didn't want to risk waiting, see if he'd be there in the fifth just to get, a guy in Olsen who I don't love.
I think there as far as tight ends go this year, would you say there's a big three, Dave, between Olsen, Kelsey, and Gronk? Does that sound right to you?
It was actually more like a big two at first, and then Olsen was kind of he was there along with Reed actually in that.
Oh, Reed, I forgot about Reed too.
Yeah, there's a good reason.
But Matt, taking your Philly bias aside, Zach Ertz is right in that conversation for being drafted in the first few rounds in the FFPC format next year.
He's always shown that ability for stretches. It's people kind of pigeonholed it as just the last 6 games and garbage time, but he has shown that when healthy he can be a elite tight end. The only thing that wasn't there was the touchdowns, and that's obviously come this year.
It certainly helps having an MVP frontrunner throwing to you as well. Let's keep talking about tight ends here, Matt. Another pick that really worked out for you in this draft. You grabbed your third tight end at 11-10. Why go with the rookie Evan Ingram there when historically rookie tight ends have struggled to put up numbers in the NFL? Evan Ingram certainly bucking that trend. What was it about Ingram that made him such an attractive pick there in the 11th round?
No question. Well, 2 things. One, I think after doing FFPC a couple of years, you kind of see in the later rounds you need to take some shots at some guys that can be not just spot starters, but potentially impact guys, and not at every pick, but a few of the few lottery tickets. And watching Ingram in college, he definitely played more like a big slot receiver than a tight end, and I thought that even with Marshall and Shepard, that he was probably the most talented behind Odell there, and the injuries have certainly helped, but I think he's more receiver than tight end, and that would speed up the process.
And Ingram has really bucked that trend of those rookie tight ends sucking.
Where do you think he goes next year?
Or pretty early.
I mean, fairly.
He might go in that third round.
Yeah, I think he's going to go, third, fourth round across the board.
Yeah, I think so.
You'll have,
go ahead, Matt.
Yeah, Reed's Reed's injured again, and Olsen's gotten older. I think that third or fourth tight end spot is really his to lock up over the stretch here, and if he does, I think there's no question he's a third round pick next year.
All right, so our next question is first of all, it's about two players that I like, one of which I was just telling Balky I'm mad that I don't own in any dynasty teams.
But you could.
So, but Balky owns them and carrying them. So we might make a trade later.
Right.
So you picked up a couple guys off the waiver wire, Corey Coleman and Dede Westbrook. Dede's the guy that I don't own anywhere, so right. I'm a little jealous. And I just feel like I need to get a piece of him in dynasty because otherwise when he blows up like Tyreek Hill, I'll be pissed off. Anyway, besides my team, do you expect bigger things from either one of those guys? Who do you like more, Dede or Corey Coleman?
I think Coleman's a little more ready, but I think Jacksonville's just an overall better team, and with Fournette there, and the way they play, they can take some chances. So, I think while Coleman's a year and a half in, I think Dede really has a chance here to be Jacksonville's best receiver down the stretch, and he's got a little TY in his game, and he was really good at Oklahoma and really good in the preseason. He's nowhere he's never not put up big numbers, and I think if he's healthy, it's only a matter of time before he's the best player there.
Allen Robinson on IR. Marquise Lee struggling with an injury. We don't know if he's going to play this week. Alan Hearns obviously has not performed up to the contract that he signed with Jacksonville. The opportunity is definitely there with Westbrook, and savvy owners like Matt Berman, tonight's guest, had already picked him up. The second-place team in the FFPC main event joining us tonight, Matt Berman. Certainly appreciate you joining us. And, Matt, I got to ask you, we have a lot of guests come on this show that have, a handful of teams, several teams, dozens of teams. This is literally the only FFPC team you have this year is the one that's sitting in second place overall.
Why do we book them?
No, hold on. This is an interesting perspective.
Still live?
Yeah, totally live. Yes, and he can hear you. Are you in, Matt, are you in any other fantasy football leagues? And what are Sundays and Monday nights like for you when you're only following one FFPC high-stakes team?
I am in a few other leagues. I'm in my high school league and a college league, and the first original fantasy league that I did 20 years ago is still ticking. So while the dollar amounts aren't what the FFPC is, it's they're fun and they're competitive. But I've thought about adding another team, and probably had I not had such bad first 3 years in FFPC, I would have already added to it because but. It's hard to say what the priority is. I think around week 5 or 6, you get a feel which teams you have that are the most competitive, and your attention and priority sort of goes there because naturally there's cross matchups and different players on different teams. But certainly right now FFPC is far and away number one priority.
So, I'm glad you brought that up because I have an interesting question for you. We have a bunch of teams in Kentucky in the main events.
The Kentucky Fantasy Football State
Kentucky
Championship.
Fantasy Football State Championship. Yeah. And none of them are any good. So what am I supposed to do?
Ho. I wouldn't say none of them are any good. There's Kurt, first of all. Kurt, our friend, is 8th place overall in the whole thing. So that's one good team there.
There's one good team.
There's more than one good team. Anyway,
okay, so I guess that was Balky. Go ahead. I guess don't even answer that question.
Okay,
I'm just kind of mad about it.
Okay, that's the you don't need to vent to the guest. We're trying to make him feel welcome and thankful that he's not.
I feel bad. I'm hurting hearing this.
I'm sure you feel awful.
The Blog Talk Radio sympathy pain coming through the airwaves tonight. Matt, let me ask you this: you've been like you said, you played in the FFPC for a few years now. This is really, honest. It's very, very difficult to get to the top 100, much less the top 2 where you're at right now. I'm curious, what was the biggest adjustment you had, being that you had played fantasy football for 2+ decades, and then you jump into the FFPC. You struggle a little bit the first couple of years. Now you're really, you had a draft that crushed it this year. Everything's coming together. What was the biggest adjustment that you had to make? What was the most difficult thing that you really had to switch when you were preparing for the draft, doing the draft, managing the teams at this competitive level?
I think no question, every other league, I've always loved to trade and tinker and really make a lot of moves. And the no trading thing, I think when you draft, it has to be the right balance between risk taking, but also, you can't waste picks. You can't have dead spots on your roster because, some years you get lucky with waivers, but, besides Coleman and Dede, who really haven't done anything, I haven't had any good waiver, and so you have to have a core of not only a good lineup, but depth and upside, or else you're going to get stuck in that middle. So it's really been adjusting on the type of player I'm looking for in the draft, as opposed to thinking long term in dynasty, or thinking about trade assets, or thinking about having the top waiver pick. You really have to lock in on the draft and just I think about it as who's the best over those first 11, 12 weeks, and then let it fall from there.
All right, let's talk a little bit about the Seattle Seahawks. And by the way, the movie Draft Day is on CMT, and Kevin Costner was trying to trade the Seahawks, for 3 first-round picks.
Right.
It's not a very good trade.
You know what I appreciate about this is when did that movie come out? 2015, 2014?
14, 15.
The
Browns are still picking
you
first.
find a way to weave this movie into the show at least twice a year, every year.
It's always on.
Yeah.
I think you guys are the only fans of that movie.
Oh, it's so great.
I wouldn't say I'm
Cleveland.
a fan of it, and Dave
Home of the Browns.
I think Dave only likes, quote unquote, likes the movie because he loves to poke holes in the plot and the way it's set up, the behaviors of the characters.
City. Yeah, they'll show a city, and it'll be like a shot of Philadelphia, and they'll be like home of the Eagles. Like they insinuate that every person, women probably, that is seeing this movie is
women under the bus.
They're being sexist. They think every woman doesn't understand that Philly is the home of the Eagles.
Right, I get it.
Anyway, all right, back to the question.
Yes.
A lot of complaints.
Back to Philly, the home of the Eagles. Matt Berman.
All right. Yeah. Seattle's coordinator Darrell Bevel said that after Seattle acquired All-Pro Dwayne Brown, Fat Eddie Lacy would get the start this week. So are you going out of your way to roster Eddie Lacy and see what happens, or is there nothing to see here as far as fantasy value goes?
He wasn't available in my league. I would, if he was available, I certainly would have taken a chance there, but I think the odds are low. I think he might have a game or two. He certainly can score touchdowns, but I don't think there's much left either with him or even with Dwayne Brown. I think their interior line is still an issue, and I think they'll pass block better than they'll run block down the stretch, and I think you saw it last week. They're going to be at their best when they just let Wilson throw and spread it out and run the offense that way.
Why don't they just have that J.D. McKissick just run spread the whole time?
Well,
I think him and DJ. I think that's where that seems to be where they're most effective, and I don't think their defense is what it was, and it'll still make big plays and be tough at home, but they're going to be in some high-scoring games down the stretch.
McKissick, Procise, Richardson, Lockett, Baldwin, and Graham. You can run the oop-de-oop and just fly all over the field for 60 minutes.
Exactly.
Who's more injury-prone than Procise? There's a couple players that
Jordan Reed.
Who else? Procise is always Kenny
There's
Galladay.
not many, and then when you're like that in the start of your career, that's not something that's going to get better. He's always going to have that issue.
Exactly. I fully agree with you.
Matt Berman, the second-place team in the FFPC main event, is the guest in the high-stakes fantasy football hour tonight. Eric Balkman, Dave Gerzak. What a flurry of trade deadline deals we saw this week in the NFL. This is something that you see in baseball or the NBA. You don't see this in the NFL a whole lot. And we saw 3 pretty significant deals go down that involve skill position players. Jimmy Garoppolo going to the Niners, Jay Ajayi going to the Eagles, Kelvin Benjamin going to the Bills. And Matt, as you look at those 3 deals, what player for fantasy is most positively affected by these moves. And maybe it's not necessarily one of these guys that got traded, but maybe somebody that benefits from their absence on their old team, or maybe somebody that benefits from them coming to their new team. Who do you think stands to gain the most between these three deals?
Yeah, I don't think any of the guys traded. Their value changes that much. I think Ajayi is in obviously a much better situation. It's just a matter of how much time it takes for him to take over as the guy. The Eagles have a bye next week, so you might still be looking at Thanksgiving before he sees his full value change. I think Funchess might be will he was starting to fade and really going down towards maybe emergency starter type, but him and Benjamin are so similar that I think he can really move into every week starter now as the main guy in Carolina.
I'll tell you who else personally I think stands to gain a lot is these people who never cut Greg Olsen and these people who picked up Greg Olsen, because I think he could have a pretty significant role.
No question. I think when he's back, he's definitely the featured guy now.
Yeah, it makes a lot. I mean, there are targets to gain in Carolina, Dave.
Did you hear that they were?
But those foot injuries are not easy, and he's what, probably 32 now, so
he's getting up there.
Yeah.
I thought it was interesting that they said part of the reason they traded Benjamin was to spread out the offense so that McCaffrey could get more running room.
Okay, I brought this
because Benjamin always was running in the slot. Is that the argument?
Okay, that was the argument, and I'll tell you this. I brought this up on the Appleton Trophy Fantasy Football Show, which you can hear on thescorewi.com every Thursday at 4:55 Central Time.
So terrible.
And 95.3 in thescorewi.com.
Oh, great.
So I brought this up. I'm like, weren't we just hearing from Ron Rivera like 2 or 3 days before the trade deadline that they were worried about giving McCaffrey too many snaps, that they needed to get him off the field more, and that Cameron Artis-Payne to play a bigger role. And then they trade Benjamin, and it's like it's almost as if Carolina is going out of their way to have as few weapons out there for the minimal amount of time for Cam Newton. Makes no sense.
So.
And I think the problem is Funchess and Benjamin are the same player,
and that could be too.
You were going to get more for Benjamin, and they need to get Samuel on the field to get some speed there. But I just think they didn't know how to. They were each were better when the other one wasn't playing.
But here's my theory: is that the coach was saying, the coach can say whatever the hell he wants, right?
Yeah.
But who makes the trade?
GM.
The GM, who already looks like an idiot because McCaffrey's getting 3 carries for 4 yards every week, so he ditches out, gets rid of Benjamin to try and make him not as bad.
But he is on pace for 98 catches, though.
Hey, from a PPR perspective, McCaffrey's great.
We don't care. That's fine.
Exactly.
Yep.
Speaking of great PPR players, we're welcoming Josh Gordon back from the good old shit list or whatever you call it.
Yeah.
So he's now going to be
the GSL.
He's now going to be an active player in the NFL again. Thank goodness. Not smoking the reefer anymore, out of rehab. Do you have any interest in acquiring Josh Gordon on any of your rosters for the rest of the season?
Again, I think it's never hurts to take a flyer on somebody in this league, but the odds to me are even lower. And I mean, just the years he's been away from the game, and then the quarterback situation. And Coleman's going to be back. I don't think Gordon will be much of an impact to anyone's team down the stretch.
Let me ask you this, Matt. You have one free roster spot on a team. Do you use it on Eddie Lacy or Josh Gordon?
I would use it on Josh Gordon between the two.
Now, there you go. How far Lacy has fallen. Named as the guy that is going to get a ton of carries this week, and we're still saying, and I don't necessarily disagree with you either. I think that there's, you look at the upside, I think it's clearly higher for Gordon. Matt, let's get to
no question. If one of them's going to hit, it's going to be Gordon a little higher, but I don't think I wouldn't want either my team depending on any of them.
Yeah, both definitely lottery tickets is putting it mildly. Let's get into a couple of emails here for you, Matt, that came in from some of the listeners. First is from Jeff in Piedmont, South Carolina. Hey, Matt, tough call for me in Football Guys Championship this weekend. Would you play Vernon Davis at Seattle or Jason Witten at home against the Chiefs? Congrats on the main. That is Jeff in Piedmont, South Carolina. Thank you for the email, Jeff. So if you had the decision facing you and you were either playing Vernon Davis against those Seahawks or Jason Witten hosting the Chiefs this weekend, which tight end are you playing, Matt?
I would use Vernon Davis. I think, just Earl Thomas sounds like he's not going to be playing. Chancellor's banged up. Crowder's going to be out. I think, a potential game where Seattle scores some points. I would think Vernon Davis. I picked up Ryan Grant in my league this week, but I think Vernon Davis has a chance to have a real good week and definitely a touchdown.
How much did the Ryan Grant pick up? How much of that was the fact that Jamison Crowder may not be playing?
100%. Without him,
Yeah.
I think Grant's useless. But with him, I think Grant. I think Pryor's clearly not a factor there right now, and then Dotson's not ready to be a featured guy. So Grant, as limited as he is, might just be one of those guys in the right place, right time, right week, and then that's the only week you really see him be relevant all year.
I want to get back to one more email before we do. A question from Mint Montana in the chat room. He has to make a decision. This is kind of an interesting one. DeMarco Murray at home against the Ravens or Marlon Mack at Houston. Marlon Mack, who's coming on, who outsnapped Frank Gore last week, and then DeMarco Murray seemingly has been banged up the last 3 weeks, but still playing significantly over Derrick Henry right now. What's your opinion? Would you be, do the KISS method and start Murray, or is Mack the play for you here, Matt?
I don't particularly like either this week, but I think if that was my decision, I would roll with Murray. Mack, I think, is definitely gotten some snaps. Indianapolis has fallen behind in a few of those games. I would still lean Murray. I think he's the better player still, and I don't think Mack's done enough to sit him in that scenario.
Squeeze in one more email here for you, Matt. This is from Sal in Chicago, Illinois. Hi, Matt. With Janoris Jenkins suspended this weekend, does Sammy Watkins have a 20-plus point game? That is Sal in Chicago. It's interesting because Watkins is a guy that many people were writing off because when he came back from bye, he was facing a slew of pretty talented number one corners. He won't be facing that corner in Janoris Jenkins this weekend. It will be, I don't know, Eli Apple or somebody. But what about Watkins this weekend? The fact he doesn't play against Jenkins, could he have a big blow-up game, Matt?
I definitely think there's a chance Watkins has a big week. I still think, Goff is he likes Woods, he likes Kupp, and then he's been spreading it around to all those guys, and then Gurley in the past game. So I don't think no Jenkins means big week, but he's an interesting flyer this week. He's not somebody I'd want to be up against on another team.
All right, this is one of our favorite and final questions.
You don't need to preface it with that every time. Everybody knows.
Fine, I won't do that ever again.
Okay, sounds good. I'm just saying you can do it, just not. You don't need
Not
to do it all the
time?
Not every time. If here's the thing, if this is like kind of your specific segment here, Dave.
But
so
I'm getting some journalism coaching.
If that's the way
apparently.
you want to brand it, if that's the way that is most comfortable for you, by all means, good sir, do it that way.
So Matt, give us a stud that you would actually consider benching this week, and a sleeper that you just he might just find his way into your lineups.
Yeah, it seems easy, but I think the Jacksonville defense, especially that pass defense, is that good. I don't know if AJ could easily have 4 catches, 50 yards, if that's worth it. If I had an interesting bench option, I would look at sitting AJ.
That is interesting. What about a sleeper? Well, I'll tell you, not only a sleeper in your lineup, but maybe a guy that you targeted off the waiver wire this week, Matt.
I picked up Ryan Grant.
That's right, Ryan Grant.
I know it's a week late, but I really think Alex Collins, he's not on my team. I wish he was. Somebody grabbed him in our league pretty early. I think he's the real deal, and I know Tennessee's got a good defense, but if Baltimore can keep that game close, I think he's just too good to not have another week near 100 yards and a touchdown.
Well, you have been the real deal, not only on this show tonight, Matt, but in the FFPC main event this season. You are definitely for real, and we'll be competing for that $250,000 prize down the stretch here. I wish you nothing but the best there, as well as all of your leagues this year. Congrats on your success already. I'm sure you're loving having a great FFPC team. Thanks for joining the show, man.
I'm looking forward to the last couple of weeks and looking forward to the playoffs. If I can get
That's awesome, man. Yeah, absolutely. Well, listen, good luck to you. We will talk to you again soon, man.
Thanks. Have a good show, guys.
Matt Berman, second place in the FFPC main event, dropping by the HSFF hour tonight. Once again, hopefully there's no jinx, although Shady McCoy, Stephen Hauschka did not have a good night for him last night. You watched that game, right, Dave? The Bills-Jets game?
Not really.
Do you
watched some of it.
Do you remember back, I believe it was the first time they ever did the Color Rush on Thursday, and it was a Bills-Jets game a few years ago.
Rush?
Color Rush, where they wear a singular color, both teams.
Oh, I didn't know that term.
Yeah, that's what they call it.
Learning something all the time.
Bills-Jets, that was like the first one they did. Bills wore all red, Jets wore all green. Colorblind people couldn't tell what the hell was going on.
How intelligent.
Right, and last night they had the Jets in all green and the Bills in all white.
Great.
My son, who we've talked about this, may or may not be colorblind.
Yes, you fear that he's colorblind.
Right.
Yet you inexplicably don't show him colorblind test off Google. That could be found in 8 seconds.
We've done it with him.
And?
The results are fuzzy, much like his color vision. But
maybe he's just a little bit.
I was having him do the color with the Jets uniforms last night, but he was being cheeky with me, and I'm like, what color is this? I'm pointing to the Jets uniform. He's like, black. And I'm like, come on, Lucas, brown. And I'm like, don't be like that. And he's smiling, thinking like, oh, he is really hamming it up.
He's like, this is great. So
then I got serious with him. Kern wants to know red, green, or blue, yellow. Red, green. And the colorblind.
The professorial.
Yeah. I wish Kern lived closer because I could definitely pick his brain more.
I wish he lived closer so I could just learn more stuff in general.
But anyway, so then he picked out.
He could tutor me on life.
He definitely could. Great life tutor. He picked out the Jets uniforms as green.
Nice.
Yeah. I don't think he is.
My little thing that my 12-year-old does is when she comes down and sees me watching football, she'll look at the teams and she'll be like, "Oh, I see Chai is playing Gib."
Oh gosh.
Or Jax is playing Ninja.
Yeah.
That's very enjoyable.
That is kind of fun.
Yeah.
Not as fun as tonight's Fantasy Flash. I want to thank Football Guys, RotoPass, RotoWorld, and Rob for tonight's rundown. The second oh, wait a minute. Hold on. I have music for this.
Will it play?
I don't know. We'll find out.
You reckon the attorney come on?
Nope. No attorney tonight, Dave, but I do have an update from the Second Circus Court. Circuit Court that has been a circus.
Difference.
Granted Ezekiel Elliott a temporary stay of his suspension. He is eligible to play Week 9 against the Kansas City Chiefs. Thank you to Dan Graziano on Twitter for bringing that update to us. This is just affecting Week 9, so we will go through more of this legalese next week. Listen, Ezekiel Elliott, you got to roll him out there and start. And I, 6 buys or 6 teams on bye this week. I actually had Morrison McFadden in a couple of lineups at running back.
Right.
Have to sit him now.
So, I actually, for the longest time, I thought that Elliott
for the longest.
I thought Elliott was just was actually an abuser and guilty and all that.
Mm-hmm.
I actually think that maybe his girlfriend was just one of those, crazy girlfriends who made stuff up.
I don't know.
I'm actually starting to using, by the way, no evidence whatsoever,
except for the stuff that came out about her.
Well,
it's not
some of that, but also just the fact that he's fighting it so hard. And then he made some statements saying, "Look, this is my reputation. I'm not an abuser. This and that." So he's fighting it super hard, and not just for the money. He's
that's
fine.
That's the type of activity.
That's
the type of activity you'd expect from an abuser.
Unlike Kevin Spacey, I'm actually buying into what Elliott's got to say.
Okay. So anyway,
Elliott also said he said, given what's all happening, he's going to come out and he's going to live his life now as a gay man.
Right. This just in, breaking news here in the High Stakes Fantasy Football Hour. Ezekiel Elliott now suspended for Week 9 against the Chiefs. So pretty crazy. He is not playing now. Oh, wait a minute. More breaking news. Not suspended. He will be playing against the Chiefs on Sunday.
Supreme Court.
Yeah. It may come to that. Adam Schefter, of course, broke the news this week. Kelvin Benjamin traded to the Bills on Halloween. The Panthers getting rid of Kelvin Benjamin despite picking up his $8.4 million fifth-year option as a first-round pick. That was picked up already. So he will be an unrestricted free agent after the following season. What do you make of this? For the Bills passing attack as well as the Panthers passing attack, we heard Matt Berman talk about how this is a good thing for Devin Funchess. I think this is very good for Greg Olsen. You made the point that the coaching staff seems to make it seem like this is a good thing for Christian McCaffrey. You look at
and Curtis Samuel, possibly.
Potentially Curtis Samuel.
He's not done much yet.
David Hubbard, I talked to him on the lowdown this week a little bit about Curtis Samuel.
Don't spoil it.
Well, he was lukewarm on Curtis Samuel for this year and potentially 2018 as well.
I mean, that's possible. He hasn't done a whole lot yet.
Right. So biggest beneficiary for you here? You're much more likely to start Funchess, Greg Olsen when he comes back?
Tyrod Taylor, maybe.
Oh, okay. So, Tyrod Taylor crushed it last night without Benjamin.
Yeah, well, there you go. 3
touchdowns.
I think, a lot of it was supposedly garbage.
Well,
time,
it was
right?
garbage time. That's true.
But and actually the Zay Jones thing, there was Zay Jones dynasty value went from okay to gone to back up to okay, right?
It's been all over the place.
But last night, didn't it look like he had he got almost injured to the point of he was out for the year or something?
Twice. He left the game twice.
Yeah.
And came back.
But supposedly he's fine, right?
Supposedly he's fine, yeah.
And he was having a pretty good game.
Kelvin Benjamin, stock up, down, or the same in Buffalo?
I don't know. I'm not really that
the same
enthralled with him anyway, so I guess I have about the same level of interest myself.
Yeah, I don't think it really affects him too much. I think he'll be just fine. It may be anything a little bit further up, but Charles Clay is going to be back there soon too. So it's not like Benjamin's going to be the only guy. Clay was crushing it before he got hurt.
So okay, back to the contract thing with Benjamin.
Yes,
so
sir.
His 2018 fifth-year option was picked up, and then now the Bills assume that
are
option.
responsible
All
for
right,
that. Yes,
just making sure.
correct.
Okay.
Delaney Walker questionable for Week 9 against the Ravens. Jim Wyatt on Twitter reporting this. Walker did get in a limited practice this Friday after having the bruised ankle both Wednesday and Thursday. This is a significant day because Tennessee was on bye last week, and this guy still did not practice the Wednesday and Thursday following bye. Gets in a limited session today. I'm not playing Jonnu Smith if he's out, but I think this is something for FFPC tight end premium leagues to pay attention to make sure he is indeed active because there's still a chance that he misses. Delaney Walker historically just plays through everything. And even, the game before the bye week for Tennessee, I was sure he was going to miss, and he still played.
Yeah, given what the injury is, I just can't see him missing a game over a bruised ankle. I just think that the coaches looked at him like this, older veteran. He doesn't really need any practice time. And they always say you need to practice on Friday. So that, he gets in this limited slight session so that at least they have that appearance that he practiced. I think that that's probably good enough for a player like him. If he misses, I'd be really shocked. I think Smith would actually have a good game, though. I think Jonnu Smith is a really good talent to have and a great dynasty stash.
Yeah, there's a lot of people on the Jonnu Smith train. If Delaney Walker's active, I'm not even really thinking about it too much. I'm playing him.
Yes, agreed.
Let me ask you this. I think I will not have the Okay, yeah, I will have the opportunity. I have a league this week where my 2 tight ends are Delaney Walker and Jason Witten. Delaney Walker plays at 1, and Jason Witten is a late game. If Walker's active, would you play him over Witten? Witten is at home against the Chiefs, and their secondary has been pretty porous. And Ezekiel Elliott will be playing.
I'd probably play Witten.
Keep that in mind. Over a banged up Walker against the Ravens defense.
Yeah, they're
at home.
But they're at home. The Ravens defense
Witten,
is quite good. Their over-under in that game is probably in the 40s, mid-40s, I'm guessing. And I'm guessing the over-under in the Chiefs-Cowboys game is probably 52.
I can tell you exactly what they are, Dave. Once again, I thought I had the page up for that, and I just have to do one more click and get this figured out. Nope, 2 more clicks because I clicked on the wrong thing. This is, like you said, Dave, a banner show tonight. This is one that...
I told you it'd be great.
Yeah, this is one that they're...
All right, so we're at 53.5 on the Chiefs-Cowboys game. So
oh, my God.
And then 43 on the Titans-Ravens. So close, right? In the low 40s. And then, up in the 50s. So you're going to get a lot more scoring. And, I'd go Witten there.
Yeah, I think that's who's in there right now. I was going to change it after I saw Walker had the limited session, but now I'm probably going to leave it as is. Go with Jason Witten. Jamison Crowder did not practice again today. Crowder certainly does not seem like he is going to play, which is really unfortunate for Crowder owners because he had his biggest week of the year last week, 9 catches for 123 yards, almost doubling his season-long yardage total in one game. Crowder's out. You look at this Washington offense. If for those people who kept Terrell Pryor around, are you more likely to start Pryor now, knowing that Crowder's not playing?
I'm not very likely to start Pryor. I just don't trust him. I mean, I feel like, your Ryan Grant might be more reliable.
Yeah.
Crowder's effectively a bust at where he was drafted.
Right.
I think we hypothesized that was a definite possibility. He was being drafted quite early.
Yep.
So I'm not.
Same thing as Pryor, though, too.
Pryor
was a total bust.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Did I say Crowder?
Yeah.
I meant to say Pryor.
I would agree with that. Crowder's been a bust,
But I mean,
too.
Pryor for sure has been.
Yeah.
He was going in the late third. I wouldn't trust starting Pryor anymore.
We actually had, and I got 5 on it with Crowder versus Pryor this year, and I think you gave me 20 points plus Crowder. I honestly don't know who's winning that at this point.
So who did I take?
You had Pryor.
So stupid.
Well, it's not like Crowder's been lights out.
Really? I had Pryor over Crowder.
I'll go back and check, but I'm pretty sure you had Pryor. Okay.
Neither one of us are looking like geniuses there, I don't think.
Except for me getting the 20 points from you.
That
was the
might
genius.
Be, that's the genius part.
Cardinals offensive coordinator Harold Goodwin said the plan is to, quote, feed the beast, using Adrian Peterson on the ground in Week 9 against the 49ers.
11 for 29.
Report on azcardinals.com. Goodwin, the quote. I'm going to read this because it is a very colorful quote. It's like an old stove. The more wood you put in it, the hotter it gets.
Oh, my goodness.
We just got to make sure we feed him the ball so he can get comfortable. Peterson replied, quote, I'm all about that.
That's a complete sentence.
Carson Palmer is out for at least a month. Cardinals will have to rely on Peterson as one of their big weapons for the game since Drew Stanton will be farting things up on the field against the 49ers. San Francisco's defense is bad. We saw it in the chat room earlier. I don't know who put it. I think Kern posted in there. Over-under for Peterson fantasy points this week. He set it at 12. He's taking the over or under?
Oh, under, big time.
I will take the over, and I have 5 on it. If you have 5 on the under.
I have 5 on the under.
I got 5 on it.
Thank you. That's easy peasy.
Another one for the good guy.
I will grant you that Peterson was on a team where he didn't get all the carries, but let's just walk through his season so far.
Okay.
1.8, 2.6, 5.7, 0.4, a bye week, 25.4, and a 4.3. He sucks.
I'm sorry.
Over.
You had me at 25.4.
Yes, the one game that he had probably a massive run.
What's he averaging as an Arizona Cardinal right now, Jim? I think that's what we need to look at.
Yes. That's what's great about statistics.
Yep.
Isn't it?
They can, numbers will say whatever you want them to say.
Yeah.
You just got to tweak them right.
What is that they say? That there's statistics, something, and then lies, whatever it was. I forgot the quote.
I am starting Adrian Peterson and Andre Ellington in a league this week because of I'm having bye week issues. So I'm playing both Cardinals running backs against the Niners defense. Don't feel particularly all that bad about it either.
Nice.
Yeah. I'm sure you would. You're like, Balky, that's an unmitigated disaster that you have going there.
Yes. A team that has no quarterback and you're starting 2 running backs on that team, good job.
Yeah, exactly. Give me what they're feeding that fire. They're sticking the wood in that stove, Dave.
Originally popularized by Mark Twain, there are 3 kinds of lies. Lies, damned lies, and statistics.
Yeah, that's funny. Here's the game script for the Cardinals. Adrian Peterson, 4-yard carry on 1st and 10. 2nd and 6, Adrian Peterson, 4-yard carry. 3rd and 2, Andre Ellington, 6-yard catch, 1st down. Repeat, repeat, repeat.
I think San Fran gets their first win this week.
That's interesting because I might want to put 5 on that.
Well, obviously, against the spread, sure.
You know, that's it. You could be right because they are actually at home
getting only 2.5
against Drew Stanton.
Right.
Maybe this should be your super.
I'll bet you straight up.
Yeah,
it's already in. Our super contest thing is already in.
Did anybody take the Niners?
I don't think so.
So can you reveal this on air? Who you guys took?
I took Green Bay.
Okay, so you took the Packers, and what were the other ones from your consortium?
You know, no one really cares.
From the
by the way.
The Il Molinos.
Yeah, so we have a group of how many people is it here? 4 or 5. 5 people.
Yeah.
And we did the Las Vegas Super Contest
right?
this year.
Yeah.
Okay, it's Alex. Let's see. I mean,
Alex Kaganowski, the prognosticator. Farrell Elliott, the KFFC commissioner.
Drew Maselli,
great guy, FFPC player.
Also part of Team Jam and Ricky Vaughn.
Yeah.
And Rob Brotzman, who's a great guy. He's a friend of Drew's. I met him out there. He's a super great guy.
Likes to bring wine to the live events.
Absolutely. So through 8 weeks. So we decided to form this team at Il Molino, this Italian restaurant at Caesar's Palace.
Right.
We've named the team the Il Molinos,
right,
which I think is a great name.
It is.
What's not great is our 15-24-1 record through 8 weeks. 9 games under 500 against the spread, folks. Phil Steele would be turning over in his proverbial grave if he had a record like that. He would not be telling you about the winners or the losers.
Certainly with 15 wins, though, on the season, Dave, one of you guys must be making some pretty good calls, though.
You know what? I'm not going to talk about my record. It's better than others. I'll say that.
Okay.
So we have so far the Rams. I don't even know. I'm not going to say it. I took Green Bay plus 2.5. We have Oakland, then Kansas City, and then Tampa Bay, whatever those all are against the spread. So if you're betting, go against whatever I just said. That would be Oakland, Kansas City, Tampa Bay, LA Rams, and Green Bay.
All right, there you have it. Ann Killian on Twitter. The 49ers placed Pierre Garçon on injured reserve with a neck injury.
Can I tell you something?
Although, I think...
No, they didn't.
Yeah.
Because he's still listed as out.
Right, yep.
But FFPC might have enabled that to happen.
Just to help people out for the waivers tonight. Yeah, I think if you're in Dynasty League, you would have saw him IR'd. John Lynch actually made the announcement in a radio interview on Thursday, confirmed that Garçon is not a candidate for return. 31 years old, he was their number one receiver this season. He was on pace for an 80-catch, 1,000-yard pace this year. His loss leaves the 49ers with Marquise Goodwin, Trent Taylor, Aldrick Robinson as the top three receivers. George Kittle maybe going to get some more looks, who I'm actually starting this week in the Kentucky Auction League, Dave.
Nice.
So we'll see what happens with that. George Kittle hopefully getting some more looks there. Garçon is due $6.62 million from the 49ers in 2018. I don't know if they would cut him. I'm keeping around in dynasty formats just to see what happens. Is there any fantasy value with Marquise Goodwin? Certainly there isn't with Taylor. In my opinion, Taylor or Robinson. Is there anything there with Marquise Goodwin?
I guess there's some value, not that much though. I would look at Aldrick Robinson for super.
Really?
Although I didn't pick him up anywhere.
I didn't either.
I don't think Goodwin's all that great. He's not a guy who's going to catch a ton of passes. Like, he's not going to be an 8-catch a game guy, right?
I don't, normally I would say that you're right, but if you look at his stats, I know he actually had a pretty good week last week, the last game that the Niners played. No, he didn't. He had no catches or no yards. This is great.
I told you this show would be great.
The week before, he had 4 for 80 against the Cowboys. That's interesting. I wonder if he didn't play against the Eagles because the Eagles secondary is god awful. I mean, that's like the 1 weak link of that team right now.
Oh, you mean the 7-1 Eagles?
Yeah, I mean, they're cooking along in every other aspect, but secondary is not so bueno, Dave.
It is not bueno indeed.
So Marquise Goodwin, you're not excited about. You're actually more excited about Aldrick Robinson. So excited that you didn't put any bids in on him.
Well, I mean, it's an 0-8 team that scores like 7 points a week. If they don't score any points, what the hell do I care about their wide receivers?
C.J. Beathard is their quarterback as well.
Trent Taylor's 5'8", 178, and even worse than that, he's white. So he's not going to We have fun.
Kern wants to know, do we think that player injuries this year have been especially brutal for fantasy football owners? I don't know. Like, it seems like every year, and I've had this discussion with several people, it seems like every year, a stud goes down and people are like, I have never seen injuries like this before. This is the worst year ever.
For the prior year.
But I hear this every year. I don't know. I think this has just been like your normal year for injuries. I don't think that they're coming, more frequently or maybe, hitting harder this year than in years past. I've been hit with injuries too. It's not just my personal, bias. They happen.
David Johnson. The thing was, David Johnson, like the perennial number 1, number 2 pick,
right,
got hurt right out of the gate. So that was like a massive, huge injury. So
that was big. That
set the tone. And you've had some injuries since then. I mean, you had Andrew Luck, but he was pre-injured. It's like, as we said, don't draft him.
Right.
So if you drafted him, well, you drafted a guy who's injured.
The Rodgers and Watson injuries obviously hurt because if you drafted Rodgers, you were expecting, where you had to take him, he had to be a focal point of your offense. And Deshaun Watson obviously was picked up off waivers or super late in drafts. And when you have that situation, you're obviously counting on him for big things. And it was a season changer, with losing Watson. The Beckham injury sucked. Allen Robinson got hurt right away as well.
Cook, by the way, who was fantastic. Dalvin Cook was a great pick. Anyone who picked him, it's like made a fantastic, smart, intelligent fantasy selection and then got hurt by it.
Yeah. Greg Olsen was another bad one. So that happened. Was that week 1 or week 2 that he went down? Yeah.
He had like 2 bad weeks, and then I think week 3 or whatever.
Okay.
It was terrible.
Yeah.
I think if you look at it statistically, it probably would be a little bit above the norm this year.
Not significantly though. I mean,
but what will happen next year, Balky? Your favorite term?
Regression to the mean. Nobody's getting hurt next year, Dave. You heard it here first.
There will be the normal amount of guys getting hurt.
Right. Probably.
Maybe a little bit less.
Maybe a little bit less.
Or more.
Let's talk about Josh Gordon here a little bit. We touched on this with Matt Berman earlier on in the show, but he was reinstated by the NFL on a conditional basis. Will begin practicing with the Browns starting November 20th. Mary Kay Cabot from the Cleveland Plain Dealer had this story. He can start taking part in meetings.
Kind of a fun newspaper name given the topic.
Yes. He can take part. I just got that. He can immediately take part in meetings and individual workouts. He can be added to the active roster the week after Thanksgiving. So that makes him eligible to return in week 13 of the regular season in 2013. Remember, he led the NFL in receiving with 1,646 yards. Has not played in a game in the NFL since 2014. That said, Dave, I think I picked him up in like 4 leagues this week. I
ended up getting him in a lot of leagues too, actually.
Henry Muto picked him up in about 50 leagues, he says.
50?
Yeah,
that
5-0.
Crazy.
So you look at Gordon. Here's the problem with him. Now I picked him up. We'll see what happens. Ideally, in a perfect world, you would be cooking along, and if you're playing that deep into the season when Gordon returns to the Browns, he wouldn't come into the consideration because your receiver core would be loaded. He will also return probably to a team that will have Corey Coleman, a guy that was drafted fairly high that has already shown flashes of what he can do. So it's not like there's going to be nobody else out there. He will be catching passes from Deshaun Kaiser, Kevin Hogan, Cody Kessler. We don't know. A.J. McCarron. So there's a lot of red flags here, but the talent, I think, outweighs all that. As soon as I need a free roster spot, Gordon is probably going bye-bye.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, he's a lottery ticket guy, guy that I'm going to try to keep around as long as I can. But if I'm feeling the crunch, which hopefully I won't, now that we have most of these bye weeks behind us after this week, it's going to be very difficult for me to play him in a championship round sprint or in the playoffs.
Yeah, because you need to prove it week is what you're saying. You can't just throw him in there.
I mean, if he crushes it week 13, yeah, I'll feel better about starting him in weeks 14, 15, 16. I'm kind of curious.
Where's he playing those weeks?
Yeah, that's actually what I'm looking up right now.
Well, you know that in the states where pot is legal, he can smoke pot, right?
Yeah, he's not
in Denver and Seattle and Oakland and the Rams and Raiders games on the road. He can go and smoke there.
I get it. Okay.
Goodell said it's cool, is what he put in the report.
Yeah. So week 13, he's eligible to come back. That is at the Los Angeles Chargers, fairly decent secondary. Then he is at home against the Packers, less than fairly decent secondary.
They're getting healthy.
Then he is at home against the Ravens, pretty good defense.
Yeah.
And then he's at Chicago, an underrated defense. So none of those are really juicy matchups to me.
Yep, there you go.
Okay, so moving on.
Meyer said with your roster, you can afford to keep Gordon.
Currently, that's correct. Currently, Tupacker is speaking the truth. I can't afford to keep him now. We'll see what happens later on in the
season.
In the season, yeah. All right, let's get. We've waited long enough, ladies and gentlemen.
Our next guest?
No, not next guest, but kind of virtual guest here via your emails and Twitter. Thank you, Rob.
If you've got a question for Eric, Dave, or tonight's guest, send them a tweet at HSFF Hour on Twitter. Email the show at highstakesfantasyfootball@gmail.com. Post it in the chat room during the broadcast. Hashtag your tweet with HSFF or just smack Eric in the head. That's highstakesfantasyfootball@gmail.com or at HSFF Hour on Twitter. One thing we are never doing on this show again is saying before it starts that we're going to have a good show.
Why? This show's been awesome.
It has not been awesome. We're going to try to
Maybe
resuscitate
you're sucking it up, but I'm doing great.
Dennis in Pomona, California. What's up, guys?
Home of Pomona College, part of the Claremont College system. 10% acceptance rate. If Ella got in there, I'd be very happy. It's no Cornell, though. Go ahead.
I'll email Dennis back and see if he's knows any of the higher-ups on the board there, see if he can get you in.
Not me. I'm not going.
Your daughter.
Well, our family will move to wherever she goes. I'm just kidding. We're not that great.
Are you more or less likely to start Denver players with Osweiler in at quarterback now? Thanks for the email, Dennis.
I'm more likely to split my wrist.
Okay, that's not the question. Slitting your wrist has nothing to do with this. Right, more or less likely to start, and we'll say I mean, really all the skill guys, Thomas, Sanders, Anderson, are you more or less likely to start them with Osweiler than with Simeon?
I don't know. I'm equally displeased with the option.
There's something to be said for the chemistry that Osweiler has with Thomas and Sanders.
I guess he can't be. Can he be any worse? I mean, Simeon was just being really.
Simeon was great the first 2 weeks, and that bought him somehow it bought him an additional 5 weeks being that successful. And now finally they've given way to Osweiler. From what I've heard from Denver Broncos insider Cecil Lammey, it sounds like Paxton Lynch, once he's healthy, he's going to make some starts down the stretch here. So keep that in mind.
Great. All great.
Maybe I'm just a Debbie Downer about this. I feel like I'm less likely to play him, but the stuff I've been reading, it sounds like a lot of the analysts out there are more likely to roll out Emmanuel Sanders. Obviously, you're still starting Demaryius Thomas, who's the number one receiver in that offense, but you look at Sanders. I own him in one league. I don't think I'm playing him this week. I could be wrong. Maybe I am flexing him out. I can't remember. I'm not that excited about starting him. I got to see it.
Yeah, I'd say so.
Yeah. Okay. Moving on. Could you play a would you rather for dynasty quarterbacks with Andrew Luck after this IR news? Thanks so much, Will in Laredo, Texas. Will, we will definitely do that. And before I get to it, Dave, I will give you the opportunity to do a little grandstanding, do your touchdown dance here after you've been touting since June, July, that you thought Andrew Luck stood a pretty good chance of not playing at all this season, and now that's the case.
We were proven correct.
And that's all you want to say about it? You don't want to...
I don't know. What do you want to say? I mean...
tout yourself more? All I know is
sometimes we get it right.
If I made a call like this, I would take the rest of the show to talk about how awesome I am.
I don't think I'm that awesome, but I think it just goes to show that when a player is injured coming into the season, and it's kind of common sense, right? A person gets a surgery in January and it's July and it's supposed to be like a 3 or 4 month time frame and they're still not doing stuff. There's a problem. The surgery didn't go right. The healing is not going right. The rehab is not going correctly. There's a reason for it, and you should really not be drafting that player. That's it.
Excellent point. All right. Well, we will play the Would You Rather here with Andrew
Would you rather
Luck.
get a massage from a man or surgery from a female doctor?
Would you have sex with Cleveland if it meant you could have sex with Angelina Jolie?
Who would you rather do? What would you guys rather be? Who would you rather start a small business with?
Who would you rather have sex with?
Do you want breakfast or would you rather chew on your own ass as usual?
What?
Let's kick it off. Dave, would you rather have, this is for Dynasty now.
Okay.
Would you rather have Andrew Luck or Cam Newton?
Newton.
Andrew Luck or...
Keep this in mind, by the way.
Okay.
I just read an article.
Andrew Luck or Matthew Stafford?
For Dynasty?
Yep.
I'd rather have Luck because, I'll tell you why.
Okay.
Stafford's not really worth that much.
Okay.
He's like a couple of notches above like Eli. I mean, Eli sucks. You know what I mean? So he's not that great.
Okay.
I did read an article recently, though, that one doctor thinks there's a significant chance, and another player said that too. I forgot the player. It was a former NFL player.
Peyton Manning.
No, it was
Archie Manning.
It was not a quarterback. I don't remember who it was, but he said that he hasn't played. He hasn't been able to do anything for like 10 months. That's his career. You're looking at a possible career-ending injury.
Right.
And a doctor said it, and this former player. He was a good player. Like let's say Reggie Bush, but it wasn't him.
Okay. Yes, that's who I want to take. Injury rights fun. Dr. Reggie Bush.
Dr. Quadri Ishmael.
Yeah. Okay. So you picked Luck over Stafford. Andrew Luck over or Kirk Cousins.
I'll take Luck.
Andrew Luck or Jared Goff.
Luck.
Andrew Luck or Derek Carr.
Again, these guys are middling guys.
Okay, I don't want to go higher because I know how you're poo-pooing Andrew Luck.
Well, but I mean, you have to go higher.
Andrew Luck or Dak Prescott.
I'll take Dak for sure.
Andrew Luck or Carson Wentz.
Wentz for sure.
Andrew Luck or Marcus Mariota.
Mariota.
Andrew Luck or Russell Wilson.
Wilson to me is like a top. I actually like Wilson as the number one dynasty quarterback right now.
Andrew Luck or Matt Ryan.
I'll take Luck.
Really?
Yeah.
Over Matt Ryan?
Ryan is not impressive. And Julio Jones, if anyone hasn't noticed, he doesn't catch touchdowns. All he does is not catch touchdowns.
Yeah. Andrew Luck or Drew Brees.
I'll take Luck.
Andrew Luck or Tom Brady.
You know what? That's a lot closer than it should be.
Yeah. Tom Brady, who, by the way...
If my team is any good, I'm taking Brady.
Right. What if it's not?
Then I guess I have to
What if you're in this situation? What if you are looking towards 2018, you have Tom Brady on your roster, and a guy offers you Andrew, I got to think of how I wanted to structure this. You're playing for next year. You have Tom Brady, and he offers you Andrew Luck, and he wants your second rounder and Tom Brady.
No, I'm not dealing him.
You would rather keep Brady?
You know what? It depends on if I think I can win next year, I might keep Brady.
Okay. Yeah, that's a good point.
But if it's a true rebuild where I really need to draft like even good wide receivers, then yeah, I'm taking Luck and taking the shot that he's gonna be healthy.
Okay. Kern has a question, but he says just in chat, so we won't read it on the air. He doesn't want to confuse.
What about so another one would be Deshaun Watson?
Yeah, Deshaun Watson. Yeah.
Sorry.
Clearly.
Well, I mean, not clearly.
No, it is clearly.
Well, if you look at like DLF rankings and all those guys, they're going to have Luck ahead of Watson still.
I don't know if you noticed what Deshaun Watson did this season.
I don't know if you noticed that some of these sites don't update their crap very quickly.
Yeah, that's true. I have noticed that.
Especially when you hear dynasty trade calculators. Are they still on September 22nd?
Yeah, that is the rough thing about trade calculators.
You're like, oh, it's like they're looking at data from like, that's when you send that to other people you're trying to screw over in trades.
Yeah.
Hey, check out this trade calculator. Not updated since 9/22.
Right. Yeah. Holy cow! I can't believe Odell Beckham is the number one overall player. Well, he probably still is. Mike in Madison, West Virginia. Not sure how willing you are to play Corey Davis in his first game back, but I'm sending out an SOS with him, Decker, and Wallace. All three are playing in the same game. Thank you for the email, Mike in Madison, West Virginia. So you look at these three receivers, Dave. I don't even know if Mike Wallace is playing, to be quite honest with you. I
don't want to start.
Who? Davis?
Yes.
Okay.
If the team is willing to start Corey Davis, he's definitely the most talented and not busted up piece of junk receiver, which the other two are.
Yeah.
I mean, he's actually supposedly healthy. He's going to start. I'll start him and just take a shot.
Yeah.
Why not?
Eric Decker, remember, he had the 8 catch for a 76-yard game or whatever and followed it up with a 0. So if you're going to play Decker, that looms large. Mike Wallace playing for – Joe Flacco is questionable. There's still a chance that Ryan Mallett starts this game for Baltimore, which, I mean, he probably won't, but there's a chance. I think Davis is it's weird to say this, but I think he's the safest play.
Yeah, probably.
I mean, he was getting a ton of targets early in the season.
Yeah, sucks.
Dear Dave and Balky, I know Josh Gordon should be rostered in Dynasty Leagues for sure, but what do you think about redraft leagues? Thanks, you guys. Terry in Lake Worth, Florida. We kind of already answered this, right? Yeah. Hello, Thor and Hulk. When Danny Woodhead comes back to the Ravens in a couple weeks, how does the Baltimore backfield change? That is Eddie in Fitzgerald, Georgia. Thanks for the email, Eddie. Woodhead, I'm liking him for the rest of the season. You look at what he was doing before he got hurt, the whole Ravens offense is going through him. I think when he comes back, Alex Collins still has a role. I worry about Buck Allen having a role.
I would agree with you there. I think so.
Anything to add?
Not really. I mean, Woodhead's an interesting spec play. But I mean, again, by the time he was back and was able to contribute,
week 11,
your team should already have your starters kind of lined up. But you never know. There could be injuries. So I mean, he's a good guy to have on your 20-man roster. Just don't plan to really count on him too much.
And if he's crushing it in week 13, week 14, maybe he's a guy you roll out, or week 11 or week 12, maybe he's a guy you roll out there week 13, week 14, if he's catching 8 or 9 passes a game.
If he's seeing snaps, he's going to get 10 points a game regardless, no matter what happens.
Yeah, I would even say that the floor is even higher than that.
Probably right.
Yeah. Dan in Westminster, Colorado, are you buying or selling that the Steelers are really making Martavis Bryant a part of their Week 10 game plan? TIA. Thank you for the email, Dan.
No.
Sell. I said sell, dude. Sell. Sell, 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 sell. It's taken me a long time to cut through the BS of some of these things that I want to believe so badly. Like Eddie Lacy will actually have an impact this week. Martavis Bryant will be a part of the Week 10 game plan. We heard this in Week 8. Yeah, Martavis Bryant, squeaky wheel. He's going to be involved in the game plan. What do we see? Juju Smith-Schuster was inducted into the Hall of Fame.
He is definitely a squeaky wheel. That's the problem.
Yeah. Oftentimes they get the grease rather than the inactive status.
The coach is like he's one of those rah-rah guys where he believes in team first. You know what I mean? He'd be a great drill sergeant in the Army where you don't go away from the team. It's all about the team.
Right.
And if you look at Juju Smith-Schuster's Twitter, I mean, this guy is like, he's 7 hours ago, I knew this moment would come. It's just like all this positivity. And then you have Brian out there spewing hate. There's no way the coach is going to favor Brian. They're getting rid of him after the season. I don't think they really even want to play him. But the only reason they're keeping him around, was in case there's an injury. If Antonio Brown or Juju gets hurt, I think they want to at least have him around and have him as someone they could step in if they had to. But I really don't think that he's in their future, though.
Bryant? Yeah, I'm kind of with you on that. I think if he ever does come back to be the player that he was before he got hurt, it will not be in a Steelers uniform. That is for sure. So, yeah, cuttable in redraft leagues? You probably don't have him anywhere.
I wouldn't say cuttable, though.
Okay, so still stuff him on your bench, see what happens.
I think so. I can keep him around.
I did see him get cut in one of my leagues.
Really?
Yeah.
It's a little bit surprising.
Yeah, it is surprising. You know what I think about this? I don't think he got picked up either.
Which league?
I don't want to reveal it on air because there's some listeners that play in it. I might want to put in because no, it's not in Carrington. I wanted to put a bid in on this guy, and I literally couldn't field the lineup then because I had like 8 guys on bye or something like that. So I couldn't do it this week, and I just figured he'd get picked up. And I'm just thinking to myself right now, I don't think he got picked up.
Oh, there you go.
He's out there. Jim in Syracuse, New York. Help an FPC customer out. Do I play Drake or Williams in that Miami backfield? That is Jim in Syracuse, New York. Thank you for not only email, but for participating in the Football Guys Players Championship. Who do you like better, Kenyon Drake or Damian Williams this week, Dave? Well, we'll do it this way, this week and then going forward.
I like Kenyon Drake better. I mean, first of all, the team and the ownership or the coaching, whatever, they said that they were going to start and play Drake. They said that a few weeks ago that that's their number 2 running back. Also, Drake is a more pedigreed player. When was he drafted, in the 2nd or 3rd round?
Third round, I believe.
Supposedly undersized.
Alabama guy?
Alabama guy, and he was a backup, but he really made some big plays. I think he's talented. I think Williams is more of a just-a-guy type player, so I think that Drake is the more talented player. Right. Having said that, this weekend, Williams will go 19 for 120, and Drake will have 3 carries. I think Drake is the guy that if I had to pick one, Drake is the guy I'd go with, but I am trying to stay away from this situation as much as possible. The great thing is, Ajayi didn't go down with an injury. There's certainly a chance he doesn't play this week because of getting acclimated to a new offense. I don't know how big of a deal that is as a running back, but you probably, if you were an Ajayi owner and you owned either one of these guys, first of all, you probably didn't own both of them. So if he's inactive, just start the one that you have. If you somehow have both, I'd like to think that you have a better. Which both? Williams and Drake. None of these guys were rostered. I mean, they were almost. Oh, Drake was. Drake was not rostered very often. But sure, he was. Well, no. Okay, not very very often, as in the majority of leagues. No, he was 20% of leagues. FS. Okay, fine. Cecil Lammy and Sigmund Bloom had a great audible joke about T.J. Yeldon a couple of weeks ago that he ripped off that long catch for a touchdown. He's like, well, why is he just making plays now? And then Lammy's like, he's an Alabama running back. It took him 3 years in the NFL to heal up properly because of how hard they run those guys, And maybe that's the same thing with Kenyon Drake. Maybe he's still a year away from being fully healed from his collegiate days in the SEC. Getting those carries off his legs. We have an old friend here, Javier in Terre Haute, Indiana, who has a question. What's up, fellas? I have an interesting call this week. Devontae Parker versus Oakland or Jordy Nelson at home against the Lions? Jordy Nelson, he of the Harry Houdini disappearing act against the Saints 2 weeks ago, really did nothing. I think he had 1 or 2 catches. Devontae Parker coming back from injury. So he has to play one of these guys, Dave. Who do you feel better about, Parker against the Raiders or Nelson against the Lions? Parker against the Raiders or Nelson against the Lions? Let me take. That is the question, Dave. Pro Bowl caliber player. I'm going to take Devontae Parker is here. Take Nelson. Very good, Mr. Ball. I would actually agree with you. Again, you have 2 weeks of Brett Hundley who didn't go home over the bye, stayed here, worked with Mike McCarthy, crafting a game plan, a plan of attack that is going to suit his talents. And, I got to believe that Jordy Nelson and Devontae Adams are big parts of that. So I would play Nelson over Parker this week as well. It's really not that close, in my opinion. I think it's close. Parker's not even trustworthy to start. Look at what Jordy Nelson did for Brett Hundley 2 weeks ago. You think that's trustworthy? No, he's obviously a startable player. If Hundley throws for 150 yards, Nelson will be fine. And if he can't throw for 150, my bet's going to lose. Define fine. If he throws for 150 yards, what does Jordy Nelson end up with? 12 fantasy points? 80 yards and a touchdown. 14? I don't know. Oh no, that's more than 14. Yeah, PPR. So like 19. I don't know. That's actually a really good week. Exactly.
Maybe Nelson.
What if he throws for 220?
Dave, let's play Would You Rather, Jordy Nelson or Des Bryant?
You know what's funny?
Yeah.
Is it's probably not as far-fetched as you think that Jordy outscored stupid Bryant.
It is super far-fetched.
Well, hang on. Let's see. All right. How many points do you lay me? I'll take Jordy. 4? Give me 4 points. I'll take Jordy for +4.
I'll give you 5.
Fine, +5. Give
All right.
Jordy.
Give me Des Bryant -5 this week versus Jordy Nelson.
Bryant might only have a 2 for 20 game, and I even score 5.
Okay, don't just spread lies on this show. I got 5 on it.
I got 5 on it. I got 5 on it. All right, well, then next week we'll know.
Yes, that is how these wagers work, Dave.
They don't all work for the next week, Balky.
No, not all of them. Okay. Blind resume. Where it seems like we're getting one of these a week now.
All right.
This is a shorter one. This is from Tom in West Roxbury, Massachusetts. I have a short, simple blind resume for you. He leads the NFL in catches per – there's only one clue. He leads the NFL in catches per game for tight ends right now. See if Dave can get it in 3 guesses. Thanks to the email, Tom in West Roxbury, Massachusetts. Dave, you have 3 guesses. He's leading the NFL in catches per game for tight ends right now. Catches per game.
Okay, so
for tight ends.
So first of all, the first clue, within that clue,
he's a tight end.
Is per game.
Per game, yep. Per game.
This is a person who's not played a bunch of games. He's not played the entire season. I'm just trying to, I'm a little bit not able to think of all the players that are out there playing.
Well, you play fantasy football. I mean,
No, I know. I'm just trying. I'm trying to think of Can I go through? I'd like to get a list of tight ends, please.
Oh, I'm sure you would. I have no doubt you would.
All right. Well, you know what? I'm going to think about.
Hold on. Are you looking at?
I'm not looking at anything.
Okay. I can tell you.
You don't have to tell me anything. We can talk about if the show's not about to end, we can talk about something else.
It's not about to end, but I think it's a little misleading catches per game because this guy, as far as tight end catches go, I'm not going to say where he is, but he's somewhere in the top 5.
All right. Well,
among tight ends.
All right. Well, you know what? We'll throw Zach Ertz out right away, I guess.
It is not Zach Ertz. That is guess number 1.
So am I supposed to just guess it?
You have 2 guesses left. I know it's tough. There's only one clue.
No, it's tough because I'm not really able to think of a ton of tight ends.
For
Kelce.
God's sake. It is not Travis Kelce, which, by the way, Kelce number 1 for catches for tight end. Ertz number 2. This guy, by the way, for catches for tight end is number 3 on this list.
Mm-hmm.
So your final guess.
God, who missed a couple of games?
I don't believe this guy has missed any games, but he may have had a bye week. And don't take that for gospel either. That could be wrong.
So I'm not going to say Gronk because Gronk has his bye this week, and I don't think Gronk would be that. It's kind of too obvious.
He's number 4 for total catches. Okay, so good job not naming him.
I'm trying to just think of other tight ends out there. It's just so stupid.
This guy was not drafted as an elite tight end.
Okay.
That's what makes this so compelling. What if there's any guesses?
I know it wasn't
in the
Witten
chat?
because Witten had a 0 week, so he's
no
definitely
guesses.
not Witten.
No guesses from the chat. You are correct. It is definitely not Jason Witten, who is number 5 on this list. So you've gotten all top 5 guys except for number 3, the guy. Still looking for the guy.
God, who else is doing pretty well at tight end, but not, the problem is I probably didn't draft this player.
I don't believe you did. In fact, I'm almost certain you didn't.
So this is part of my problem. I blew it, so now I don't know who it is. I don't know. I guess I don't want to give up, but
Well, just take one more stab at it. You can think of one more tight end you haven't named. If you're just going to give up, just name a tight end. You never know. Could be right. So fantastic and compelling that you can't.
I'm just trying to think of a tight end. What am I going to name? Someone who can't even who's sucking.
Well, no, you can think of it like
Ebron.
Okay, Eric Ebron.
There's a guy. How about that? Is it Ebron? Is it the worst, the shittiest tight end in all of football?
That's incorrect. You got to stop with the expletives.
Who cares?
Number 3 on this list, leading the NFL in catches per game, 3rd in the league in catches for a tight end right now, Mr. Jack Doyle.
Well, yeah.
And I'm sure you didn't draft him because of the Andrew Luck situation.
Correct.
Yeah. So he's not on any of my teams either.
Yeah, very good.
He had I think 12 catches in his last game.
But yeah.
Wow. But one really, really massive game. Mm-hmm. Okay, so that is blind resume. Good one from Tom. I know that was tough. Good job by you. You were put on the spot. You came up with some pretty good names. Final email we have tonight. I mean, you were just pushing the show along. Alan in Southfield, Michigan, what are you guys expecting from a 49ers offense with Jimmy Garoppolo and without Pierre Garçon? Well, I'll tell you what, might be without both those guys.
Awesomeness.
I mean, Jimmy Garoppolo, Kyle Shanahan said there's a chance he might not even play this season. I don't believe that.
That would not make a whole lot of sense.
Well, I mean, he's a free agent, right? At the end of this year, why would you trade a second-round pick for a guy you have no intention of not only signing, but maybe doesn't play it down for you? I don't believe that.
You should. I mean, first of all, they have his rights, right? So he's not an unrestricted free agent.
I don't know how it works.
Leave. He can't just leave.
Okay.
No one team, even the Niners, would be that dumb.
What about the Browns?
They might be. But no, I mean, but the Browns are more accumulators of picks than giver-awayers.
That's true, yeah. Although they're ready to give away a second and third round pick for A.J. McCarron.
Which is unbelievable.
Yeah, I agree.
But I mean, keep in mind that Niners pick is like, pick 34 in the draft or whatever it's
basically a first rounder.
Yeah, it's way out there. So that's, they're valuing Garoppolo very highly. It's almost like the Packers when the Packers traded for Brett Favre. I'm not saying the results will be the same, but they value him super highly.
Yeah.
I think they're going to play him as soon as they can just to see what they kind of have. But I think their goal is that they think he's the guy, and they're going to sign him to at least – they got to sign him to some sort of long-term deal.
Yeah, I would think.
So they've got to have at least that 4-game tryout.
So you look at Garoppolo. I'm not –
Mudo says they'd have to franchise him. It sounds like he's interested.
I don't believe that – we're not going to see him for a while, and I don't see how this Garoppolo – and I don't see how this is relevant to fantasy for as far as we're concerned, this offense at all.
It's not for a redraft. For Dynasty, there's some interest.
Yeah, there's some interest there. Carlos Hyde, for me, is just I'm still rolling him out there as long as he's healthy. But that's it. I'm not – and George Kittle, I said I'm playing this week in a pinch because I have Kyle Rudolph on a bye in Kentucky auction. But I'm not – I don't know. I don't want to dismiss Allen and Southfield, Michigan's question, but I really don't – I have zero expectations for this offense.
Yeah, I would say so.
Okay.
Garoppolo, he's a handsome guy. He might get some extra, butts in the seats over in San Francisco, if you know what I'm saying.
More handsome, Jimmy Garoppolo, Tom Brady, or Derek Carr?
Well, first of all, I have to disqualify Carr because he wears makeup. I would like my men to be natural.
You can't
natural looking.
You can't judge this because you've never seen Derek Carr without makeup on. You don't know what his natural look
exactly.
is.
I haven't seen him.
Natural.
In the morning, so to speak. I would say Garoppolo is probably the most handsome at this point because he's, in his 20s.
Yeah.
But Brady's he's got that classic GQ look, so you still have to give it to Brady overall.
Yeah. Okay.
I think also when you look at if you're a woman, I think you'd have to look at their net worth, and Brady's got that.
Yeah, he definitely does.
Well, he $100 million.
He has it by marriage too, by the way.
Oh yeah.
So Giselle ain't exactly poor. That is going to do it for our show, ladies and gentlemen. I want to thank Matt Berman, Dave Gerzak, the FFPC, Rob Bryson, of course, all of you. One other thing I do want to say before we sign off tonight, Kirk Osborne, Dave, a longtime player of the FFPC. Of course, he is a facilitator with the live events out there as well. He's having some health issues right now. We wish him nothing but the best. It sounds like
he's on the mend, I think.
He is making some pretty significant improvements, which is great to hear. And we can't wait till he's back, in full force, enjoying the FFPC and NFL football the way we are. So,
great for the Cowboys.
We are thinking about you, buddy. Thoughts and prayers. Want to remind everybody that we will be back next week. Same bad time, same bad channel. You saw Kern's sign off in the chat room tonight.
Yes.
Good night, and Darwin bless.
What the hell?
We all have different names for our God, Dave. Kern's just happens to be.
By the way, he also said great show again tonight, which is exactly what I said the show would be.
Once again, Dave Gerzak.
That's $5 I should win.
The not only the patron saint of fantasy football, the patron saint of fantasy football podcast prognosticating.